Okay. So in a networking related, the first important topic is DHCP. Okay. Next important is DNS server. DNS. What is DNS? Domain name system. Domain name system. Port number. DNS port number is 53. Now, if you go to AWS, there is a network service is called a route 53. In AWS cloud, there is a network related services there that is called a route 53. Route 53 represent DNS service. Route 53 represent DNS service. What is this DNS server? It maps name to IP address. Maps name to IP address. Okay, name to IP address. Okay, DNS server is a server. DNS server is a server. Okay, for example, I open browser and I put this thing like a www.google.com. Why always google.com? We can use any word also. For example, google.com. I open a web browser, google.com. So, as I said, all communications with IP address only. That is what I said, right? All communications with a IP address only. So, we need IP address of google.com. Google.com it is. Lot of google.coms are there. This is www.google.com IP address. What we need a IP address of google.com. Or PC send request to DNS server, and ask IP address of www.google.com. So it is our PC send a request to DNS server. I want a IP address of google.com. Simple terms I am telling. So total big process is there. That is I will explain if possible. Okay. Otherwise you can see. So DNS server gives IP address of this www.google.com. Okay. Now we send we can reach to www.google.com server with IP address. Okay, so that is the point of your DNS server. Okay, guys, I'm going to give another part of guide. Okay, so look at here. So this is total. I am writing like this. So I open a web browser like this. I put something inside google.com, facebook.com, amazon.com like this. I put a amazon.in. I don't know IP address of amazon.in. So my PC ipconfig -all. See, here it is. I have a DNS server. Look at here. I have a DNS server. This is IPv6 DNS server. This is my DNS server. DNS server IP address. This is my IP address, but this is my DNS server IP address. What I'm trying to do is I'll send a request to DNS server. I'll send a request to the DNS server. DNS server returns. DNS server returns IP address of a google.com. Now we can able to communicate it to google.com with an IP address. Okay, same thing for any domain company. It's a understanding for a DNS server. But what I'm trying to say is an example, right? Guys, remember I put all communications with an IP address only. All communications with the IP address only. This is always a notable point. That's why I put a star here, guys. So all communications with the IP address only. Look at here. So mobile phone. Okay. Mobile phone. List. It's the best example for DNS records. Normal, just basic records, not all records, guys. Only basic records. So DNS records. DNS. Example for best DNS server DNS records. How it is. Okay. So if I want to call someone, for example, I want to call Manikanta, or maybe I want to call Pawan. I don't know how many are there, how many are left. Yeah, Venu Madhav is there. Banu is also there. Pawan is there. Okay. So I want to call him. So how to call? I need to get their phone number. So if I know the Banu phone number, so then I will dial a phone number and I will call. Guys, look at here. I have two phone numbers. No, three phone numbers actually. I can remember only one phone number of mine. So other phone number still sometimes I can remember, sometimes forget. Okay, generally I will forget. So when I check last time, then only I can able to remember. So 829 something number is there. That is my secondary number. I can remember my father phone number, father mobile number, my sister mobile number, my mother's old mobile number. I can remember. But now everybody having a two numbers, not old to new, because this geo kind of stuff it is came. It's very difficult to remember. So my father has old a number is a very easy number. Not only easy number, because that is I keep typing, reading like this. I can remember that number while writing also in a certain application form. So my father number is very easy. My sister number is easy. But I never give any place my mother number like that. Okay. So I don't remember secondary numbers thing. So what I have to do? Or I don't remember all your phone numbers, but I have to call individually. So what I have to do? Okay, or maybe in future I maybe have to contact you, or maybe you want to contact me in future. Some people will contact, and generally they will send a message for any clarification of technology thing. So what they will do it? So we have to keep the number and the name. So what is the mobile phone contact list? What is the contact list contains? Name and phone number, right? So when you dial, when you call to someone, you call to someone, open name, you open a name and call. Okay, we open and call, but Call goes with the phone number. Call goes with the mobile number only, phone number, nothing but. Okay, right? So I put my phone number like my mom. Okay, I call to mom. So who knows who the telephone company knows who is my mom? They don't know, right? They know mobile number. So in my contact list, I have to put my mom and my phone number, my dad and my phone number, my sister phone number. Okay, I put a number Ishwari and the phone number, or maybe I put a Akila phone number. I will put a Bhavani and phone number, or maybe Pawan phone number. So when I'm making a call, or a Ravant sir and phone number, okay, or a Ruxana and phone number. So what happens? So when I open and I put a search for a Ruxana, dial to Ruxana, but originally call goes with a phone number only. Similarly, when you open a website or when you are trying to contact a system or a particular FQDN, so obviously you are communicating, you are trying to communicate with the names because we don't remember the numbers. We are trying to communicate with the names, but who will tell the number for a name? Okay, so somewhere these names and numbers will be stored, right? So that is your DNS server. So what is a DNS server, guys? What is DNS? Domain name system. Port number 53 maps name to IP address. It maps name to IP address. So whenever you contact DNS server, it returns an IP address of that particular name, just like it is your mobile phone contact list. Okay, all communications by IP address only. Okay, guys, I said half of the part only, not a full part. What is the half of part? I told there is a DNS server, will request, will get it. But who is actually DNS server? That is a point I need to tell. But what are different records, different lookup zones, okay, kind of stuff I didn't told. So I told very simple, name to IP address. Okay, so at least remember this. So basic points, remember. Even I told about DHCP server and I told about Active Directory part. So very basic points first remember. Next we will go to the next level, like a work group and domain. So basic points in both. What are the basic points are there? Active Directory points are a DHCP related. So dynamic host configuration related. Port numbers. What is the use of DHCP server? What is the use of DHCP server? What kind of process? What it will do? What DHCP server will do? Okay. If possible, remember the process. Process will also score the good questions. Okay. So these are the questions, and both are related to the IP addresses. Better to know about the IP address, guys. One way or other way, the questions always links. Okay, so the questions on networking, it linked to the servers. Questions on server. The interviewer want to ask a questions on a servers related, and it will go to the networking. Okay, or maybe it will go to the hardware, or maybe you want to ask a hardware question, it will go to the server side. So depends upon your answers and questions. So it will go to the another topics also. So better always basics, first basics, next in depth. Okay, so what are the different IP addresses, MAC address, subnet mask, like that and all. MAC address is 48-bit number. We can't communicate with the MAC address. We can't communicate with the names. All communications by IP address only. Okay, so if you know the name and you want to communicate, so you have to communicate like a DNS server give you an IP address. So another example, general example, it is I want to communicate google.com. So I'm not giving an IP address because I don't know the IP address. I didn't remember the IP address of google.com. If you know the IP address of google.com, I will communicate with the IP address only. No problem in it, but I don't remember. So what I will do, I am put a name, but I am not, don't have an IP address. So what it will do? It's trying to give an IP address. The request go to my DNS server. So DNS server returns an IP address of google.com. Now I got an IP address of google.com and I'm communicating to google.com. So this is an example of DNS server. You can try with any other things also. Okay, so yeah, you can try. Okay, so next, guys, I will tell a story. So patiently just listen. Okay, so how originally DNS works. So I have a PPT that is a very good PPT. So it will like a hierarchical part kind of stuff, top level domain, bottom level domain kind of stuff. So I will try to put all these things here. Testing is easy. The titles are not coming. Very good. That overview of DNS namespace. No need to touch all these things. Okay. I'm not a multi-coloring candidate, so I'll take it as it is. FQDN, fully qualified domain name. Okay, so there is a word called FQDN. So we are getting, so we'll get a, I will explain that one also. NetBIOS. Okay, so here in a NetBIOS is nothing but a name. Is computer name or a server name or a device name to IP address. Which IP address it is? IPv4 IP address. Okay, that is binding. NetBIOS. LLMNR. Shaping. Computer name to IPv6 address is a LLMNR. Name to IP address services. I'm typing here. Okay. You know, I told about DNS. Wins is same as a DNS. Wins. Windows Internet Naming Service. Okay. Windows Internet Naming Service. Wins is like DNS means naming services only. Both are naming services, name servers. Both are name servers. But wins not work with other OS types. Works in Windows but not. Wins works in a Windows but not works in a other OSs. Very simple. Not this OS, this OS. Okay. Wins support NetBIOS type, IPv4 only meaning is no, not support FQDN, FQDN and IPv6. Okay, so that's why it is we don't use WINS currently. We are all using DNS only. Guys, we got a FQDN, fully qualified domain name, fully qualified domain name, fully qualified domain. What is FQDN? So this is a nonsense, guys. Completely, this part is because we are not using WINS. We need a DNS. Okay, so DNS deals with a FQDNs, fully qualified domain name, like www.google.com. For example, my domain name, original domain name is, for example, my domain name is Microsoft.com. Domain name is Microsoft.com. Host name, okay, host name or a NetBIOS name of computer. Host name is also a NetBIOS name. Okay, and host name is, for example, there is a server in the Microsoft.com. Otherwise, I will take another .com kind of stuff by contoso.com. I have a special server in that one. So there is a server, server one. Okay, domain name is contoso.com. Server name is server1.com. What is FQDN? It's nothing but a server1.contoso.com. What is the meaning of FQDN? FQDN is combination of FQDN is a combination of host name and domain name, subdomains also. Of course, there is a subdomains also there. Subdomains also. So FQDN is a combination of host name and domain names. DNS, for example, here it is. Domain name is a contoso.com, host name is server1.com, FQDN is a server1.contoso.com. So you can see in this one also, sales one is a server, contoso.com is a second level domain, south is a subdomain, and under that one sales is another domain. Okay, here it is server one. So in a hierarchical manner. The lot of information is there, guys, so you cannot able to understand directly because we are not in the server classes. Okay. So this is will give you very good information compared to all other. DNS cache is also there. So here it is. So it's a title only, but no. Why? It's look different here. It's looking different here. Forwarder, local DNS server, something is there. Why it is become two part? Forwarder, conditional forwarder. Okay. Okay. There's some mistake. Okay. Okay. Just I'll keep it like this, guys. But I will trying to explain what is this small part only. This is my PC. Okay. Yeah, we have a time. Okay. So don't worry. This is my PC. So this is my PC, client computer, DNS client, or just my PC. It is my PC, my device. Okay. So in my browser, I type like this. For example, technet.microsoft.com. So earlier days, I use this technet.microsoft.net is there. Now, okay, it is not there. Now it is doc.microsoft.com. Okay, so there's a documents. It's or len.microsoft.com or Microsoft related things. Okay, so many Microsoft.coms are there. Na? Or just before FQDN I used, right? FQDN. See here it is mail1.contoso.com. Here it is server1.contoso.com. So local is okay, guys, but in the internet it is little different. So what will happen to your PC in the internet? You are getting an IP address, right? So what will happen to your PC? Will get it. So when I put a doc.microsoft.com in your web browser, so what it will do? Not required like this. What it will do? First of all, search in caches flash DNS is there, no? The caches for DNS for records. Okay, pre-records are there. Okay, so for example, if you go to CMD, so ipconfig / display DNS, it is showing some DNS records, showing some DNS records. So whenever already you have done a query, it stores in your cache. It search for a DNS records inside your PC. PC or a PC browser's cache. Okay, so the first query is this is. So where to put it? That is the point. Okay. Next, another search is there. So that's why I put it. Search in /etc/host file. Okay. In a Windows C:// in C:/Windows system 32/drivers etc/host file. Okay, this is the static file, guys, so don't worry. So this is generally means Linux. Second one is Windows. Okay, we don't have a time and space. Okay, so we can't. So like you can go to like a C Windows 32 drivers etc. So in this etc folder, you'll find a host file. In this host file, you can have a manual records. So you can open with a notepad. So look at here. Why? No. Yeah, here it is. You can see. You can put a record. This is a records I created. Okay, these records are I created. These are by default. This is records I created. For example, I am trying to communicate to this particular PC. Okay, or this PC with a name. Okay, I'm trying to this. I'll get it. So see, I am trying to communicate with that name. Okay, I am getting same IP address. See, it is 192.168.200.160. I can't communicate. That PC is not existing. Only it is a record. You can see this is the record. You can also see from this record. This record also I put some IP address. This is the manual entry of IP address. See, so how many domains with some IP address. Nowadays we are not using this one anyway, but we are only using for a alternate for a small, very small network like 1 or 2 system network. Still you can use host file. Okay, with a local purpose, no problem. Next one is if you don't want to block a certain network, for example, user cannot access this particular domain. User should not access this particular domain. You can give wrong information. The same file, you can give some different information. So give some loopback address or give some wrong address. So you cannot able to communicate. Same thing. 127.0.0.1 space www.google.com and remove all cache records. Remove all the cache. Flush DNS. Remove all caches. Okay, shut down your system. Next day, the person will come and open and try to open google.com from the browser. It shows unable to find. Internet is good, but he is unable to access because of we're already given wrong route. Okay, you know, when we are in a problem, so we call to our friends and relatives, right? Some are really helps. I'm not talking about people who helps good. People who don't helps you means they don't say I don't know, you can try yourself. They are very good. No harm with them. Okay, people will give you ideas and you will try to say some idea and they will suppress that idea and they will put another idea inside. Sometimes only very rarely it will give you good result. Most of the time it is make you escape from that race. Okay, so you should not grow like their kids are there, they will better to grow. You must be there is a difference, right? Some people try. I'm talking about only 50% of our friends and families will do this kind of stuff. Okay, so there is a higher number of people are there like that. So here it is a host file. The host file is a manual record of name and IP addresses. But again, in the world there is a lot of domains are there. Okay, lot of domain things are there. Lot of servers are there. You cannot able to reach. You cannot able to write everyone's names and their IP addresses in the host file. So that's why it is up to local only. Next. So yeah, it is fast a lot of time. So okay. So it send a request to local DNS server. Send a request to local DNS server. Okay. So what is this? This is giving me always invitation. Okay, what is this? This is my local DNS server. If you check your IP address in the bottom, you can see a DNS server number. DHCP server, DNS server. Who is your DNS server? Original, it is not your exactly your DNS. It's a local, means it just temporarily used for a forwarding request, not exactly. So when I'm sending a request, okay, so then this is exactly how to use it, not that one. Okay, not this one. So this is, I will keep it aside. I will use it for later. So I'm sending a request to this local DNS server because at IP address. So there is a DNS server address is there now. This is the DNS server address. So which request I'm sending? Give me the IP address of doc.microsoft.com. So what this DNS server will do, we'll see. DNS server search in there any catchy kind of stuff, nothing. So what it will do, it forward the request to the ISP. It's forward the request to ISP. ISP maintains, ISP maintaining a forwarder. So what is this? This is called a forwarder. Okay, maintained by ISP. Forwarder. This is also a DNS server, but don't store any kind of records. Okay, this is belongs to ISP. This is ISP's forwarder. What is this contains? Forwarder contains root hints. Meaning is root DNS server addresses. Meaning is root DNS server addresses. There is a total 13 root DNS servers are there. Root DNS servers. Totally 13 root DNS servers are there. 13 number root DNS servers are there. Okay. Root hints means root DNS servers IP addresses. Okay, that is a root hints. Totally 13 root DNS servers are there. Where it is located by forwarders. So which is nearest, we will get it. Again, DNS part will be maintained IANA and ICANN. Maintain this root DNS servers. Next. What is the use of this root DNS server, guys? For example, there is a lot of root DNS servers are there. I reach to one type of root DNS server. So I forward a query to one of the root DNS server. So this is root means dot is there. Okay, so what it is? So what it is? It's just root means dot. It's a root DNS server. So represent dot. Okay. So what it contains, I will talk. So it is a root DNS server. It's a dot, but the dot should be in a very thick dot should be there. First B and then. Yeah, this is a better option. Yeah, this is enough. Okay, so this is the dot, and dot is not enough here. Okay. For example, it can be any dot, like it can be something B dot root DNS server, or A dot, B dot, it's like a dot, or a B dot, C dot, like that. So 13 DNS servers are there. Okay, it can be A dot, it can be B dot. And what is the records inside of this one? We'll see. It stores top level domains. For example, I'm getting again, so .com IP address, .net IP address, .com IP address, .net IP address, .org IP address, .in IP address, so many are there, .live is also there, .live is also there. Okay, so these are the top level domain IP addresses. Look at their IP addresses. .org server, .org is a server, their IP address, .net, okay, .net, .org, .in, .co.in, okay, .co.in, .gov, this kind of their IP addresses stores in this one. So what I am asking here, is, I'm asking only one query. It is, I don't want all these things. I want a IP address of .com only, not everything, guys. Here it is. Total query is doc.microsoft.com. I send a request to local DNS server. Local DNS server unable to find it, forward the query to forwarder. The forwarder will first of all it try to find where is the .com IP address. Now, sorry. So we have this one, right? Now, what happened? So your root DNS server give us .com IP address. Root DNS server giving you a .com IP address. Why it is not big in size or small in size? Okay, it will give you a IP address. This is exactly like task. I want a IP address of .com. Then you will get a IP address of .com. Okay, .com IP address. Okay, some IP address. Now, what will happen? I know the .com IP address. .com is a top level domains kind of stuff, right? So what is this root hints? Stores, root DNS server stores top level domains IP addresses. So top level domain IP addresses stored in the root hints. Next. So finally I found a .com IP address, right? So then what I am doing is, okay, so I go to .com server. Request go to .com server because I know the .com server IP address. I think I'm going very slowly or very confusing. Anything, please? No one is saying anything. I think everybody, like yesterday. Okay, it send a request to .com. So what is the request is there? I want a IP address of Microsoft.com, not a divorce. Yes, guys, it is IP address of Microsoft.com IP address. Okay, next. So it will send an IP address of Microsoft.com. So look at here, it is to our again forwarder. You get a IP address of Microsoft.com. Okay, so how this .com server knows IP address of Microsoft.com? So look at here. .com is one of the top level domain. So whenever you purchase a domain, okay, you have to register with the DNS servers, like root DNS servers, and under root DNS server, top level domains. In the top level domains, you will register. So for example, Microsoft.com. Here it is, IP address of Microsoft.com. Okay, Google.com, Google.com, Yahoo.com. Okay, Facebook.com. So all .coms information stored in .com servers. And their information means IP address stores here. So I want to show you something like this. I want to register new website. Okay, for example, I want to create a new website. So like this, I will go to GoDaddy. So GoDaddy, there is a lot of websites are there. So I'll go with a GoDaddy. So here it can see a.com for a 300 rupees for a first year. So what about other things? Okay, so these are additional things, additional cost of a thing. E-commerce .store kind of stuff. So that's a commercial. .com is a commercial. .org is the organization purpose is there. .in represents India. For example, Latif.com. I'm searching for it, Latif.com. For example, yeah, Latif.com is owned by someone. Domain is taken, already registered. Great alternative is Latif.in is there. It is 149 rupees. Is for first year with a 2 years registration. So I have to register 2 years. Then for first year it is that price. Also you can go with latifweb.com. This is the price. Live.com, world.com, live, world.com, live, shop, Latif shop. Okay. .org.in. Okay. .com, .store, store. So it is premium thing. It's around 40 lakhs. Digital app, Widge, Net, LTD, Today, Work, Pro, Cloud, Ind, Biz, Guru, Rocks, like this. These are the top level domains. Dot something is top level domain, and there is a sub level domains also possible. Not showing here, but if you go to free domain kind of stuff, like a Google domains, you will get it freely like that. That is there's a free domain registration, free domains. So you will get some kind of free domain extensions. You will get it like a ZZL. I have one site that is called that is a blogger. WordPress.com, Latif technotes.wordpress.com. So those are like a free kind of stuff with a subdomain kind of stuff. You can see Latif technotes. This is a Google site. It's a Google site. It is just a Google page only, nothing more. Already I shared this thing. Okay, so you can find WordPress.com also. Why it is not there? Is it taken down or what? No, yeah, here it is. My WordPress.com means .com is a, what is the .com? Is a top level domain. What is a WordPress? It is a subdomain, and this is the domain name. That is my website name. Okay, that is a website name or a host name where exactly it stores. Okay, so like that. So I have a .com. In .com there is a different top level domains. So their IP addresses are registered here. So your forwarders find out who is the Microsoft.com. What is the IP address of Microsoft.com from the .com server? From .com server. Okay, now finally what I got, IP address of Microsoft.com. Finally I got a IP address of Microsoft.com. Now what I have to do? Like this is the better way. Now I'm sending a request to the Microsoft.com. Okay, here I'm taking like this. Okay, that's why I'm writing. Okay, so this is Microsoft.com. So I reach my Microsoft.com because now I know the Microsoft.com IP address. So of course Microsoft.com is also maintaining DNS services. So I'll ask DOCS.Microsoft.com IP address. Okay, so maybe I want something like a Microsoft Virtual Academy Microsoft.com. Maybe a learn dot okay, I'll put a office.microsoft.com. That is not there now. It is direct office.com only. Okay, maybe something lot of services are there. Microsoft having so many are there. Azure related. Okay, MVA means Microsoft Virtual Academy. Okay, or maybe certificates, DOCS certificate, TechNet. Again, I back to TechNet. So Microsoft.com IP address. Okay, so it stores other Microsoft.com. Under my Microsoft.com, what are the subdomains or domains? Their IP addresses. So what I am getting? So I have a Microsoft.com. I have a Microsoft.com. What is this rotation and all? Finally, I got an IP address of Microsoft.com, docs.microsoft.com. So I send a request to the thing. So I send a request to the Microsoft.com. I want the IP address of docs.microsoft.com. Finally, I got IP address here. Now what I'm sending? I'm sending revert it. So the forwarder returns IP address of forwarder, returns the IP address of docs.microsoft.com, returns the IP address of docs.microsoft.com. Okay, docs.microsoft.com. Again, and log to the local DNS server. So local DNS server, take the IP address of docs.microsoft.com and give it to my PC. Now I have a IP address of docs.microsoft.com. Now what I have to do? I will communicate to the server somewhere it is located. Okay, somewhere it is located in the network. I will try to reach that one through network, through IP address. Okay, somewhere is located, so I will find this DNS server. Sorry, finally I'll reach docs.microsoft.com server. So this is the total DNS server works. If you don't understand, it is okay, no problem at all. Important is you should understand what is DNS, what is DNS, what is the use of DNS. That's it. And where you find the DNS server address. Where you find the DNS server address, guys? In your network adapter, you have an IP address, subnet mask, default gateway, and this is your DNS server address at your network adapter settings. So you type a google.com, facebook.com, or a doc.google.com, or anything, you gmail.com, you open, right? So what happened? Request go to local DNS server. Local DNS server is it can be your router. In our home network, it can be your router, your Wi-Fi router. Okay, your Wi-Fi router can be your local DNS server, because when you see your IP address, your local DNS server, your DHCP server, your default gateway is same. Means that you don't have any other servers. You have a router only. That is your router IP address. So obviously your router is a local DNS server. Local DNS server don't know what is the IP address of docs.microsoft.com. It forward the query to the ISP provider. ISP contains forwarders. ISP contains forwarders. What is the forwarder contains? Root hints. Root hint means it is a root DNS server which stores the top level domains, their IP addresses. So I ask a IP address for a .com. So I got a IP address of .com from the root DNS server. The root, I go to .com server. I ask Microsoft.com IP address. So now I got a Microsoft.com IP address. Okay. Now I got a Microsoft.com IP address. I go to Microsoft.com, ask for a docs.microsoft.com IP address. Finally, I got that one, and I forward that IP address to local DNS server. Local DNS server got an IP address of docs.microsoft.com. It send it to the my PC. Now I have an IP address of docs.microsoft.com. So in the internet, so where is this docs.microsoft.com? You know, this is a very long process, right? This is a long process. So what this ISP provider will do, it maintain a cache DNS server. Maintain a cache DNS server. What is this cache DNS server? Cache DNS server, once this query is completed, it stores the information in cache DNS server. This query means docs.microsoft.com IP address stored in cache DNS server. What is the use? Someone in the network they are also asking same question. What is docs.microsoft.com? Without searching entirely, we can get the IP address from Cache DNS server. You can get the IP address from Cache DNS server. So those are points in your DNS server. Of course, there is a lot of things to discuss about a DNS server is there, but I am talking like this. Okay, so I hope you got some point here. Okay. Who is your local DNS server? Mostly it is your Wi-Fi router. Okay. So this is the picture of same thing only I have written here, and there is a queries and all, so much of information is there. If you want, I will add a one more is there, that is records. Okay, records are there, so if you want, I will add this records also. Just additional purpose only, not really I'm not interested to put all these things for you. Okay, it is giving some. Okay, so that is some records I given, but I'm not going to teach you that again, guys. Just I'm finishing. It's at 2 o'clock. I know how many people are alive. So domain name system maps IP address to name to IP address. It's like a mobile phone contact list. We cannot remember all the phone numbers. We create a contact list. Same as in DNS, we cannot remember all the IP address of host or a domain things. Okay, so what we use a DNS server. So then DNS server returns when you are trying to communicate to the any server or a host with a name. Request go to DNS server. DNS server returns an IP address. For example, you try to ping to google.com, so you will get a google.com IP address first, then only we can communicate it to google.com. Okay, so here is a hierarchical structure of DNS server. There is a root level domain, top level domain, secondary level domain, subdomains. So there is a word called FQDN, fully qualified domain, means it is a combination of your host name, subdomains and domain, and top level domains. Like .com is a top level domain, .org is a top level domain kind of stuff. Okay, here it is an explanation when you want to open a web page. For example, divorces.google.com, or maybe you want to open yahoo.com, or maybe youtube.com. You open, how it is goes, the request go to local DNS server, to forwarder will try to queries each part of the things, like find out in .com, .org or a .net based on your URL. For example, .com, then microsoft.com, and then divorces.microsoft.com. So part of answers, because of this part of answers queries is called iterative query. So forwarder finally collect the IP address of docs.microsoft.com, forward that information to local DNS server. So local DNS server is getting a complete answer, that is called a recursive query. And of course, local DNS server to our PC, we are getting an IP address, that is also a recursive query. Now we got an IP address, we can able to communicate to the docs.microsoft.com server or that machine with the IP address directly. Already I told, guys, remember the base points, remember the examples. If you don't remember or don't understand this big explanation, don't worry, that's it. How many people are alive or dead? Only 4 people are alive. Very good. That's it for today, guys. Thank you. Main important two topics are completed: DHCP and DNS. I hope you got the point. Pavani, Venumadhav, Pavan, and Navdeep.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye and